Marianne.
And I'm Lorna McGill.
And we're here with the Isn't She Amazing podcast. And today it's just us because we're going to talk about why it's really, really important for women over 50 to really make a decision to shine.
Right. So let's tell the audience today why we're the star. We have a star analogy.
We do.
So why don't we share that with the audience?
All right. So it
This is a Marianne analogy.
So it all started out with my attraction to the constellation Orion. You know, the constellation Orion. He's got some beautiful stars up there. He's got his belt, his 3 stars across his belt are the most familiar and the most what people use to identify him.
Right.
Yeah. Another neat thing about Orion is he's can be seen from every inhabited place on the earth. So
everywhere?
Like everywhere that's inhabited. I would guess. I don't know if that means Antarctica or something. I'm not sure that's fully inhabited, but yes, anywhere you go on Earth, any country you visit, you can look up at some point and see Orion.
That's pretty awesome.
It is really awesome. And then you might notice that he's got 2 of the brightest stars in our sky are part of Orion. And that is Rigel, who's his left ankle, and Betelgeuse. Yeah, you can remember Betelgeuse.
I hear about it. Yeah, that's the one I remember.
And Betelgeuse, these 2 stars are brighter than the sun, bigger than the sun, hotter than the sun, but much, much younger than the sun. Betelgeuse is only about 10 million years old.
Oh, so he's a young
just
guy.
A child, just a child. But what the scientists noticed a couple of years ago in 2019 was that Betelgeuse started to flicker a little bit. And when he started to flicker, he shot off part of himself into space. Just and what that indicated to them was that Betelgeuse is destined to become a supernova.
What's a supernova? I've never heard of that.
Glad
Good
you
question.
said that. Because a supernova is a star in crisis. It begins to run out of energy. It's drained of its fuel source. And then gravity kicks in and causes it to implode. Kind of like a woman in menopause.
Yeah, because you definitely feel like you're imploding when you're in menopause.
And you feel like you're going to fade away. And
you just feel heavy and like you're like, what's happening to me? And like everything about you changes.
It does.
And the way you feel changes, just like there's something that happens inside of you that you can't really explain or pinpoint.
Right.
I know that's what it was like for me.
Yeah. The cool thing about a supernova is, though, that it doesn't stay imploded. That is what causes this huge explosion. And that explosion, brighter than that star has ever been. And this is one type of supernova, but we're just not going to do a science lesson today. But that explosion, like in Betelgeuse, they don't know when it's going to happen. It could happen in our lifetime, or it could happen in 1 million years. Not quite sure. Narrow it down a little bit. But they do think once it explodes, it will last about 100,000 years. And so that's until the end of Betelgeuse's life.
Now, is that like a bunch of energy that is out in the air, in the environment, or what is that?
So cool that you asked that, because what happens when a supernova explodes is almost all the elements that create the Earth and the human body are released when a supernova explodes.
Wow.
So technically, we are
supernovas.
We're a supernova, but we're actually related to the stars. We're made of the same elements that the stars release. And it's kind of like the calcium that's in our blood. It's the iron, or the calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood, the oxygen we breathe. Those are the types of elements that are released. And they create the Earth, but they also create us. And so it kind of creates little supernovas all over the place because, excuse me, we're also a star in crisis. We are stars our whole lives. You know, we dull that shine because of society, because of nurturing beliefs that aren't very healthy, you know, that kind of stuff. But we are that we have a choice when we get to our crisis, any crisis really, but essentially the kind of crisis that happens in our 50s and 60s. You know, and tell me what you think happens to women, because I know we talk to women all the time. How do they feel when they retire, when they go through menopause?
I think a lot of people that I've heard, as you know, as I've gone through this transition, is a lot of women feel lost. They don't really know who they are anymore, and they're starting to really examine that, and they want to know, like, what's next? Like, what does this part of my life look like? That's a really big question that really is not easy to answer.
It's not easy to answer, but it starts with the decision.
Exactly.
It starts with a decision like, oh no, not me. I'm not getting sidelined. I'm not being pushed back because I'm retired now or because I'm a grandma now. This is the time when we don't, I mean, you just recently experienced empty nest, you know, the boys are just all out on their own.
Right.
And we were retired, both of us. We're back again, but we're retired.
We refuse to retire.
We refuse to die.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, we had a decision. You know, we got together and we just started talking about, well, what happens to women when they retire? And we find that too many of them kind of just take a back seat and stop really living their exciting life, when this is the time. We have no more obligations.
We have the wisdom, we have experience, we have contacts, we have financial means. So we have so many gifts, or so much that we've accumulated that we can share.
And we should never minimize that, ever.
No, I think that's what is really hard to, like, really think that at this stage you still have so much more that you can do. Like, one of the things that, you know, I really pay attention to is when we do our workbook, and when we have the age that we expect to live till, and you think, I still have a good, like, 20-25 years of good years. I mean, there may be some that, you know, that I won't be able to do as much, but that's a long time, especially when you look back and think what you accomplished in the past 20 or 25 years.
Right.
So you can do a lot.
And we've done, so many women we talk to do things that are fun and outrageous. And I mean, you climbed a glacier with a bunch of girlfriends. I climbed to Everest Base Camp. We know we both jumped out of an airplane. We both run marathons. We've kind of let ourselves express ourselves, travel to different places, and inspire women around the world to do that stuff too. Because the reason we came up with "Isn't She Amazing" is because of that feeling that when we came into an obstacle, in your case, it was a death of your mom, and you were grieving. And I had recently become an expat with my husband in a foreign country, and it was lonely. And so I was starting to fall into a depression.
Yep.
And what we both decided to get out of that was to run a marathon.
And it goes to even our principles of, it was one step after another. It was like 26 miles is really far. And it's just like with any goal you set, it just seems like it's so big, but it is taking all those little steps. And before you know it, you've accomplished it. You've ran 26 miles.
That's right. And the jumping out of the plane, that's a bigger step.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was not very convinced that was going to be a good idea.
But she was the first one out of the plane, and that's kind of like a big step. But the exhilaration and the thrill and the sense of, I'm amazing. Exactly. It's a strong feeling once you feel it in your heart. And our purpose, and the reason "Isn't She Amazing" exists, is because we want every single woman,
all of you out there, to feel that feeling. It's
right here. It's an excitement, it's a pride, it's a sense of purpose.
Right.
Any other words you can come up with to kind of explain what it's an overcoming?
I think that's the big one. It's an
Mhm,
overcoming. And it's like,
Yep.
I can do this. I can do this.
That's right.
I think so many times we just think that we can't,
Right.
or it's impossible, or it's too late,
Or it's too hard.
or it's too hard. And
I'm too old.
and it could be, it is a combination of all those things, but doesn't mean it has to stop us.
That's right.
We can
That's-
still we can overcome all of that, or we can use all of those, what we consider obstacles. We can have to shift our brain and say, no, those are really blessings.
Yeah.
And those are advantages that I have, really.
That's right. And you know, we were speaking of stars, there's another piece, another star in Orion that is relevant to this, in that, you know, those 3 stars that are across his belt, from that, there's a sword that comes down, right? And the middle star looks like the biggest and brightest star in the belt, and it's not a star at all. It's a nebula. It's called the Great Nebula. And what that is a collection of molecular gases that actually creates baby stars. It creates new stars. And so the whole analogy with Orion particularly is that he's always present. He's always watching over you. He's always kind of protecting you. At the same time, when we're shining our brightest, like the supernova, we're also giving birth to new stars. And so the women that come after us, our daughters, granddaughters, neighbors, friends, you know, it's daughters-in-law, whatever they too then can be inspired to live their brightest life when they just think everything's over.
Charging through now.
So not only should we explode, because we need to inspire
For us, do it for us.
We need to explode for the
girls,
these
women
behind us. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's just so important. I mean, if we can be an example to the younger women, just what you can do, and to kind of look at the different phases of your life. There's like different seasons, and this is our season to shine.
It really is. It really is. And so if you go to our website at isn'tsheamazing.com, and you can see all the different elements of what we offer: regular workshops, regular online self-paced classes. We do mastermind groups. We do gatherings online with women around the world. We do in-person gatherings sometimes, but it's always, the purpose of it is always to inspire you to shine your brightest. And not only that, but we give them tools.
Right. And I think that's the other thing, is when you look at what we do offer, is it's an investment in you. So the workshop is $250. That's really, and it's 5 hours of your time. That's really a small investment when you look at what the outcome could be, or how now you have the tools and the vision to live your best life.
That's right. That's
and
right.
I think that, sometimes we do have to invest in ourselves and really realize that that's just important.
And we're worth it.
And we're worth it.
And you're worth it. So join us at isn'tsheamazing.com. Just click on join our mailing list, and you'll stay up to date with all the stuff we're doing, so you don't miss a thing.
And follow us on social media and comment on any of our social media. Interact with us. We'd love to have that interaction and hear what you're thinking.
Yeah, what you have to say is hugely vital to us. Huh?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, here's to shining brightly. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.